It's just another night for Supernatural Girlz. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girlz.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girlz Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host all the way from Tucson, Patricia Kirkman. PK, how you doing tonight?
Absolutely fabulous, waiting for the next storm to come in.
Oh, gosh.
It's been so nice. I can't complain, though. We've wanted water for a long time.
Yes.
We've had more than
our
share. Oh, God, yes.
Yes.
I'm going to have to get a boat if it comes anymore.
Uh-oh.
Our ground is caliche, so the water doesn't soak in. It stays on top, and that's why we have so many floods and such.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
well,
fun.
at least you got a little bit of drinking water coming your way, so that's a good thing.
Not this
We
water.
have thunderstorms. Yeah, no, you don't want to drink it. Okay. Get the purifier out. We have thunderstorms coming our way tonight,
Right.
but I think we'll be able to maintain our connection and stay on the air. We want to stay on the air because we have a great guest tonight.
Yes, we do.
We have William Lawrence, and he is a paranormal researcher on the cutting edge. Everybody, just
Yes.
fasten your seatbelts tonight because you are going to learn all about where this discovery came from and how you can also participate in working with the same technology that William discovered. This is going to be great. So hang on, everybody. It is going to be a fun night, full of wonderful things you've never heard of before. And PK, is the world still going crazy? What's happening with the numbers?
Well, you know what? This month, like I had mentioned before, this month is a review of last year. And everybody is taking a big hit because the 9-year, which was what last year represented, dealt with a lot of endings and wrapping up of old things. And I'm getting more people calling me, well, I've got a problem with this. I went through this before. What do I do? I said, what did you do the last time? Well, let's let it go. I said, the bottom line is you're getting a second chance. Fix it. Fix it once and for all. So
Take
it's
care
over
of it.
with. Gosh,
Yeah.
yes. It'll make a big difference, and letting go also means being a lot more charitable to others. We've gotten into so much of a hurry of late, we kind of forget about the guy that's standing on the street corner that might need a little bit of help. Doesn't mean all of them, because some of them don't need help, but those that
That's
do.
true.
Right.
Yes.
It works.
Well,
works.
It does. Now, I know a while back we had been talking about ET's disclosure, and you were saying, you were intimating that maybe something is going to be happening. Do you still feel that way?
Yes, I do. We've been in a 1 year, and that's what 2017 is, a one universal year. And it's all about fresh starts and new beginnings. This period is going to really do a little shake, rattle, and roll coming next month and into October, because we're going to be seeing all of this pulled together. Every year, if we just remember, August reviews last year, September reviews this year, October previews next year.
Oh,
so we've
boy.
got all of that bottled together, and there's a lot more coming that we haven't even thought of yet. It's going to be interesting.
So surprises, because all of us know we don't need the government to tell us that the ETs are here. We know that. So there's no shocker with that comment. But it will be interesting if they decide to finally say something. And it's only going to come if it's to their best interest. We know that, right?
True. And we're going into a universal 2-year as of October. But we go through a bridge period from October until the end of the year, which, because of the 1-2 combination, is 3, dealing with communications of all forms. So look for something between October and the end of December, of something popping up, least likely thought of, but popping up nonetheless.
I can't wait. This is exciting.
it could even turn around in January. And the only reason I'm saying that is because January ends up being a 3 universal month, which is all about communication, creativity, and the flow of information is going to be extreme during that four-month period from October to the end of January.
Wow.
So we might get some of our wishes answered.
Good. That would be a nice change.
Yeah.
Yes. But like I said, we all know people who are, I believe, intelligent. We know we have the most intelligent audience in radio. And they all know that ETs are real. They exist, and they're here right now on this planet. So that's no surprise. But we love, laughing basically at the government that says, or the military that says they don't exist. How ridiculous. How ridiculous. But that's okay.
They can play
their
stupid
little games. Yeah.
Makes them feel good, I guess. For their next surprise, one of them will blurt it out somewhere between here and there.
Yeah, probably.
That's more than likely what'll happen.
I think that might. Why not? We're all sitting here just twiddling our thumbs, waiting for them to come around. So that's all right. They will eventually. So now we've got a couple of announcements. CreativeStrength.us. They are offering a free scalar treatment. 15 days free. They don't want your credit card. They don't want anything from you, just a photograph and a desire to have the experience of scalar. So if you want that, go to creativestrength.us, send Tom your photograph, and he will give you a free scalar treatment. And it's a wonderful thing. He's found a way to disassemble pathogens. It's very cool. So you can go to Creative Strength, watch his videos. You'll learn all about it. Again, totally free.
Definitely
and
wonderful.
Ezra, it is. And Ezra from thehighend.org is running a sale on all of his CBD oil products. So it's a good time to pick those up if you would like to use them for whatever you use them for. And if you have questions, Ezra's a great consultant, and you can reach him again at thehighend.org. Now, if you want to follow us, go to our Facebook page, like our page, follow us on Facebook, and you will find the best information about the paranormal. We've got it all. Now, we've got tonight, I posted something from Mysterious Universe, and that's a fun one. Well, it's not fun for the abductees, though, is it? It's never fun for the abductees. And it's all about how they've been harassed. Big surprise, huh?
I can't imagine that happening.
Right on. What a surprise. Yes.
There's something wrong.
Yes. Well, and they're saying long before alien abductees were on the scene, there were contactees. And those people, predominantly in the 1950s and 60s, claimed face-to-face contact with human-looking aliens. And the aliens were concerned about our growing nuclear arsenals and the reckless ways in which we were exploiting the Earth and its inhabitants. So these people, well, guess what? They ended up in FBI files.
You think?
So, yeah, can you imagine such a thing? Such a thing. Yes, indeed. So they've all had these dossiers done on them. So contactee George Hunt Williamson had an FBI dossier opened on him, as did Frank Strange of Stranger at the Pentagon infamy. Great book about Valiant Thor. Oh, my God. I wish somebody would do a movie about that one. That was a terrific story about Valiant Thor, who came with several others from Venus and stayed here, met with the government and all of that. And again, he found himself in an FBI dossier just made for him. So all of this has continued. And now, of course, the same can be said about today's alien abductees. So abductees, same thing. They've been followed. They've been harassed. They've had black helicopters flying low over their homes. This has gone on and on and on. So this came out of an article by our dear friend, Nick Redfern. He always writes great stuff. So again, he says, the FBI is keeping a careful and clandestine watch on contactees and abductees. And in his mind, there's nothing strange about it. It's what they do. I agree. It's been going on for a long time. And I think it's too bad. I think they shouldn't be doing it, but they are. So that's what Nick had to say. Wanted to share it with everybody. So now tonight, we all may find ourselves with an FBI dossier.
Compliments of our guest.
Compliments of our guest. Yes, we have a terrific guest tonight. This man has found something remarkable. He is a paranormal researcher. He's on the cutting edge, and his name is William Lawrence, and he's with us tonight. We are very blessed to have him here because we're going to find out all about what he's done. It's remarkable. So I'm not going to waste any more time here. We're just going to get him on the show. Good. So, Will Lawrence, welcome to Supernatural Girlz Radio.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for having me.
No.
We're delighted.
No. Yes. So, start at the beginning, Will. What in the world were you doing when you found this? You found something that's out of this world, in this world. What happened?
In 2010, I was living in California, and I had a water bottle, and I had sunlight coming in through my window. I was living close to the Air Force Base outside of LA, out in the high deserts. And I decided to make my own rainbow with the sunlight, and I had a black fridge sitting right next to the window, so I was projecting the light onto the black fridge, which was a metal surface, and I was starting to take digital photographs of the light. That is, after looking at the photographs in one of the rainbows, I zoomed in and I was able to see unexplained images of people, and one was a river with an Indian crossing the river going to a wood cabin, and there was 3 men on a horse sitting on a hill to the left side of the house where the Indian was crossing over at. So I seen a lot of unexplained things in 2010. Fast forward the time, 7 years later, I forgot all about the discovery. I was traveling. I left California for Florida, and Florida back to New York. My mother found a video camera that I had while I was in California, and then it triggered a thought. I was like, wow, I remember this discovery. So I had her send me the video camera. I got the video camera. I couldn't see what I saw before, so I decided to set up my own experiment in 2015, April of 2015. I set up my own experiment. I grabbed a piece of metal, black, and I grabbed a water bottle and my laptop and a webcam, and I went outside in the grass, and I took my first photograph of sunlight refracted and projected onto steel. And I continued the experiment that same day. I took about an hour worth of photographs. And that same night, while reviewing the photographs, that's whenever I started seeing the unexplained entities. One was the spirit.
So now let me just back up a minute, because you said when you did the first experiment, you just wanted to catch a rainbow on the black refrigerator.
Yes.
And so you just thought this would be a cool picture to take. But then you ended up seeing all of these other people. Now, it sounds like people that you saw,
Correct.
not ETs.
Yes.
And
in the photograph, there was multiple people. There was multiple scenes all throughout the spectrum, the solar spectrum, which is colors. So there was a woman looking into a cemetery, and she was opening the gate, and you could see like oak trees in the background and a lot of cemetery, the gravestones. There was another image of a soldier. He had a bazooka strapped to his back, and he was smiling. He was very happy. And to the left of him, there was what seemed to be like a reptilian-looking female who was very pretty, and she was just happy. And she had like a funny-shaped head and maybe even antennas. I can't remember correctly, but there was multiple things and objects inside the light that shouldn't be there.
What did you think at the time? Did you think you were looking at ghosts? What did you think you were looking at?
Yes, initially I thought it was only a way to communicate with spirits. I just thought I found a way to communicate with the other side, and I initially thought it was just some type of time capsule in the light. Mm-hmm. It wasn't till I started the new experiment I realized that they could see me as I could see them.
Oh my God. So, okay, so let's get to that. That's a big one. So How did you figure that out, that they could see you?
The very first photograph I took, I caught them off guard. There was a man in a tall robe, and it was a shiny robe and a pointy hat. And there was a bald man in a black suit kneeled down in front of him, and he was holding a brown bowl. And the man that was standing up, he was washing something off, and you could see like red dripping down from where he was washing, and the bald man was still holding the bowl. I caught them off guard. That was the very first photograph. I would say 20 frames after the first photograph, I moved the location from point A to point B, and I started taking more photographs. They were looking directly into the camera. They were facing me.
Oh my God.
And they were right side up, so you don't have to turn the image sideways. You don't have to flip it around. They're always right side up. And every single photograph after the first photograph, they're all looking directly in. So they're acknowledging being seen.
Whoa. Did that scare you?
Not at all. Actually, before, 2 weeks prior to the investigation, I told a few close people of mine that I was going to set up this experiment and communicate with spirits. And I was quite stern that I would discover and find them. But to my surprise, on the very first day of testing, I captured exactly, what I assumed I was going to be able to capture. So I was expecting to see something, but when I saw what I seen, it was so detailed, I was filled with excitement, like the aha moment. And it was very interesting times, the first month or two of this discovery. And then I kept on with the experiment, and they continued to appear for the first 8 to 9 months.
Now,
Incredible.
when you saw this man who was holding the bowl, did you recognize him? I mean, were we talking about Aleister Crowley here? Who are we talking about? Do you know who that was?
He's the only one that was in multiple photographs. He is within the first 3 months, he kept showing up and bringing other entities, other species, and like in one image he was pointing, and then there was like this aquatic looking humanoid, and he was like looking in with his right eye. So, and also in another photograph, he showed up. He always shows up and brings other entities. So he's the only man. I can't recognize him. I just know he's bald. He seems short, like 5'4" or 5'6". Have
you ever seen a photo of Aleister Crowley?
I have not.
You should take a look. I don't know why this is coming to me that it might be him, but it sounds like him. Sounds like his style. He was a very powerful occultist when he was alive.
Yes.
And so you might want to get a photograph and compare it to the man that you are describing now that was in all of those photos.
The tall man with the robe, his face is always blurry, and the tall man with the robe, it always shows up like blue on his face. And he was in 2 of the images as well. But the first image, I caught him off guard. The second image, they were standing in a row. You had an extraterrestrial gray on the left. You had the tall man in the top, and then you had the man in the black suit on the side. Like, yep, he found us.
Wow. How unique.
This is amazing. What an incredible event. I mean, to find this, and with something simple like a bottle of water and light. It's amazing. Oh my goodness. So now you've opened the door. You see them, they see you. Any other, I think you mentioned there were other events though that occurred. It wasn't just contained to these experiments. You had an orange orb that was following you around. Tell us about that.
Correct. Within the first month of this discovery, a lot of unexplained events were happening. Random lights would appear in the sky, and I was already connecting to these images and looking at them all the time, so I knew I was connecting to something. I would go outside and stare at the sky. Unexplained lights would appear, but the orange transparent sphere that showed up, about a month or two after the experiment, and I got the results. And it showed up coming in. It was moving from the south, headed north, and it headed directly towards my backyard. As it got closer, I'm staring in awe, and it was about the size of the moon or the sun if you were to see it in the sky. And you could see that it was something black swirling inside, and it was transparent, so you could see right through this object. It was a giant ball, and as I walked towards it, I pointed at it, and then it moved directly from heading south to north. It started moving east, exactly east, and I just watched it until it got behind the tree line. But many other unexplained events. I had my radio start freaking out on me at 3:33 in the afternoon. And I started recording as soon as it started flipping out, and I just got in my car, and it displayed my initials, WHL, and it said, and it said 1999, and then after that it said 1499, and it displayed an unexplained language which we still haven't been able to translate.
Oh my goodness. So they've been communicating with you through other means then as well, like through the radio, like this.
Yes, and the woman at the house, because I was painting a house at the time, and the woman actually told me that her son was born at 3:33 in the afternoon, and that he has a woman that looks after him, a spirit woman that looks after him. So I'm thinking, I was in the house discussing with my discovery with my boss. I'm wondering if she overheard something and then connected with somewhere else, and then I was able to get the message through my radio with the help of her in the house.
It could be. Now, this 1999, was that his birth year?
That, you know what, I didn't ask about that.
I wonder. Well, here's a question from the chat room for you from Klaatu. He says, hi, did you ever question yourself about what you were experiencing? And how long did you come to terms to accepting what you were witnessing?
That's a great question. In the very beginning, I had to back check. I had to research. I had to dig in deep. Like, how is this possible? How are these images possible? So in the beginning, I tried to disprove what was showing up, and I could not disprove it. The more I researched, the more I realized that it's possible to send information with light. And I'm not sure the other question.
How long did it take for you to come to terms accepting what you were witnessing? Sounds like you accepted it pretty much straight away.
Right
yes?
away. I found exactly what I set out to find and what I assumed from the past experiment in 2010 by accident, taking the photographs. I assumed I was going to see something, but what I discovered as I continued the research, and thank God I captured the first test. Could you imagine if I went out the first day and captured nothing? I might not even be sitting here because I wouldn't have continued the experiment. But as I kept testing the experiment, and the results were coming back, and the results were insane. We have advanced reptiles. We had, in one scene, there was the bald man next to a gray. He was looking this way. And then there was a woman and a small boy in the middle. And then on the right, it would look like an Easter Island head, like a super living computer. And to me, it seemed like the woman was pleading for the boy to return to Earth, his soul, and that the Easter Island head was more like a judge, like it had to go through him, but also the bald man and one of the extraterrestrials were here. So it was almost like they were in their own courtroom, and it was a very interesting photograph.
That is fascinating. I mean, I think that as you move forward with this, you're going to be able to answer some of the great mysteries of life and death, because I mean, we haven't had insight like this. We get insight from people that have crossed over and come back, and things like that, but nothing like this. This is so exciting. This is great information, and you keep bringing up the fact that this is communication via light. So we need to hear more from you about that, because there's a lot to this.
Yes, basically, majority of all communications has relied on radio waves, and then they beam that to a radio tower, which converts the information into light, fiber optics, which goes down and then runs cables throughout the world. Everything runs through fiber optics, and even fiber optics rely on binary, which is ones and zeros. So it translates the information and data into ones and zeros and then puts it all back together to create the information. Now, their scientists are testing now sending information via quantum teleportation, quantum entanglement, and they're able to encode data on a photon and transmit the information without sending the information. But they're still translating it into binary. But now this technology relies on sending real-time information. So we're not translating it into binary. We're actually taking the data and coding it into the photons, then taking one photon and quantum entangling it with another photon, which is light. And then I could stream data just with light without converting it. So if you had the right receiver, you could translate the information and pick it up.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Amazing.
So all
And
things
as
is
you-
quantum.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that even SETI is thinking they need to look into this because they've only been trying to get messages from aliens via sound waves, radio waves, you said, right?
This is correct. And now SETI just released today, yesterday, August 1st. They released information that they're starting a campaign to search for laser pulses, incoming laser pulses, and that instead of looking at tiny milliseconds, they're going to be stretching it out and looking more into the light because they feel that they might have missed the signal. And I detected a signal in light, so I'm sure they missed something.
Yeah. And you try to explain this to them, right?
Yes, I followed the protocols. I actually, in the beginning, once I found out, I thought it was just spirits, so I was okay with that. But once I found out it was extraterrestrial origins, I looked up the protocols and I contacted NASA. I contacted SETI Institute. I also contacted the NSA and FBI. And I just tried to reach out and tell them, hey, this is what I discovered. Can you look into it? And NASA never answered the phone. The FBI and NSA did answer, but they didn't want to hear anything that has to do with extraterrestrials. This is back in 2015. And but SETI Institute did answer. They actually blocked my number eventually, but Seth Shostak, I spoke with him in regards to this discovery. I told him I discovered extraterrestrial messages in light. He asked me a lot of questions, but he was very dismissive and very fast with his conversation and asked me at the end to send him an email. I put in the photographs, I sent him an email, and he returned my email stating that it looked like I was doing nothing but taking photographs of the bumper of a car reflection.
Jesus.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, you know
So-
what, Will? You've come to the right place.
Yeah.
Because you're now reaching out to the people who really care about this subject and who are willing to help with your research and try their own and report back to you. And, you know, I've long said that it's really important for ETs to reach out directly to us and bypass all these ridiculous government institutions that are only interested in themselves. It's time, you know, for all of us to participate in an experiment like this and to learn how to do what you do. So I'm thrilled that we're going to finally be able to do this. You know, is this not exciting, PK? I'm
I
excited.
think it's
to try this.
fabulous.
Yeah,
It opens
So-
doors that people forgot about.
that's right. It opens the door. And I mean, gosh, I think almost every single member of our audience is going to want to try this.
Oh,
So, and you
yes,
can
I
try this
think.
at home. It's safe.
Mhm.
So you can give this a try, everybody. So we are going to take a very short commercial break. And if you have a question, just put it in the chat room and we'll answer. We'll answer it and we'll ask a question on your behalf. We'll answer it and we will be right back. Everybody, you're listening to Supernatural Girlz Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, here with my co-host from Tucson, PK, and our terrific guest tonight, Will
Yes.
Lawrence. We're talking about bent light and how to see extraterrestrials and communicate with them. And
Yes.
guess what? They can see you too. So we're going to get more into this.
Mhm.
Remember to go to our Facebook page, Supernatural Girls with a Z. Like us on Facebook. Sign up for the Fringe Files on Supernatural Girls website so that you can get our new newsletter, which is starting next week. So sign up for that, everybody. And don't forget, sign up also for the creativestrength.us free scalar treatment. And pay a visit to Ezra if you're interested in his on-sale CBD oils or consultation with him. He is the expert on CBD oil and legal medical marijuana. He can help you with all of those things. And we got to get to the details now. So now, if you've got a question, you can write it in the chat room and we will ask it on your behalf. irnchat.com. That's irnchat.com. So, Will, you were getting into, when we were off the air, explaining how to do this. So, can you tell us, give us the details? What can we do to do what you did?
Yes, it's very simple tools. What you would need is a small curved piece of black steel. I use a paint and spackle mixer for a 5-gallon size, and it has to be black. You got to have a black surface, and you got to have metal, and it has to be some type of steel. And what you do is you take a water bottle, just like this, and you put about 1 inch of water in the bottle. And on the bottom of the water bottle, you want it to have large, round edges. You don't want it to have small ridges. You want it to have large, round edges, because the bottom of the bottle is important, because that acts as the lens to project the light through. So you have 1 inch of water, you have your black metal set up, and then you take the water and you hold the bottle at a 45-degree angle. You then bend the sunlight through the water bottle and the water, and you project the light onto the steel. While the light is on the steel, you take digital photographs. If you're using a webcam, be sure to use 720p for the definition. If you could use a phone, you can take video on a phone if it records in 720p. If you're using the webcam, I would suggest taking still photographs of the light for around an hour. So continue to bend the light, project the sunlight, and you'll start to see, you won't see anything, but you'll, on the, I use a laptop, so I don't see anything as I'm taking the photographs. So just continue to take photographs of the light. After you take the photographs, you review the images for you look through all the images, and then you look to see if anything appeared, and that's when they appear.
So you may not
Amazing.
see anything with the naked eye, but you
Correct.
will see it in the photos.
After the
So,
photo
and you're
is
saying you
taken.
have to give it an hour? Why an hour?
I usually bend for an hour. I take about an hour of photographs. I take them as fast as I can, and I usually did it in the afternoon time, around 3 p.m., 4 p.m. sun time. So as the sun is halfway, between the halfway mark of going down, I would go out, bend light for an hour, and then I would go inside and review all the photographs of the light projected to the metal, and then that is where the unexplained entities appear. But if I had all the time in the world, I would run this experiment from the morning to night, and I would just take photographs all day and review them all night, and I don't have that type of time.
Right. Very few people
Would be
do.
nice.
I know. Now, with the way that you take the photographs, do you have to be outside, or can you do this inside, as long as you have a good light source?
As long as you have the sun. As long as you have sunlight. I'm running a new experiment this year. My experiment's been offline for a year, but I'm going to be running it through a window. So glass actually slows light down. So the more layers of glass, the slower the light is. And by the time the light transfers through the water and the plastic, it slows down even more. So I'm hoping by adding a layer of glass, I'll be able to take more detailed photographs.
That is going to be interesting. And you said you have some researchers working with you around the world right now?
This is true. On my Facebook page at Bent Light, if you look for Albert Einstein, you will notice the instructions at the top of the page along with photographs of the tools so you can acquire them yourself. I had a few photographs sent in from outside Saudi Arabia, a physicist who just graduated actually, and it was a very interesting photograph. It wasn't detailed, but it had the same consistency that I have seen in a lot of my unexplained photographs. So I posted that on my Facebook page. I have a global images where I post images that are sent in. Now, one from Manchester, England, outside Saudi Arabia, and I have a guy in Texas, so they're all running the experiment. Many people send in photographs all the time, and I'm looking forward to the day that someone captures the detail that I've captured, and I'm sure that they're going to be just as excited as I was in the first photograph.
So far, your photographs are the most detailed.
Correct.
Okay. So it may have something to do with the camera operator as well, would you say?
That's a possibility. I know that they targeted me by all the experiences that I had after the discovery, so I know that they know that I know. As for if they're just allowing me to be seeing them, I'm certain that other people can learn as long as these are intelligent, advanced life forms. They're highly intelligent. So I guess as long as you have good intentions, they'll communicate. And I believe other people will be able to get the detail I have if they put in the time, the work, and review the photographs.
Now, you've been collecting images, and these other folks have too, yours with much more detail. Now, what about messages? I mean, there is that message that came to you on the radio that hasn't been decoded yet. But any other messages? I mean, have they, now that they know you see them and they see you, are they also trying to communicate with you in other ways?
Other than the radio and the unexplained lights that appear, no, I have not received any other messages other than the language that was on the radio, which looks like the Sumerian text.
Oh, Sumerian. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like the Emerald Tablet writing.
And that's fabulous. Now, you have a photograph of that?
Yes, I have that on my page as well.
So you might be able to bring that to a professor or someone who's an expert in ancient languages to be able to figure that out.
Correct. Yes, it actually looks like hieroglyphics. The first is a tree shape, like a leaf, and then the second is numeral, and then third is numeral, the fourth is numeral, and then the fifth is like hieroglyphics. It looks like a horse, like an animal.
So that might be a language that could be translated, and
yes.
Maybe you would come up with the first message. But it just seems like it would be important, now that you've established this type of contact, to start a communication base so that you can actually get information from them about who they are and what they're doing. Because not only are we talking on the show a lot about extraterrestrials, but we're also talking about interdimensionals. And they could be from either place or both. I mean, you might have some of each in these photographs.
This is true. With this type of communication, we're dealing with star-to-star communication, and we're accessing knowledge and light for the first time. I believe once this is investigated and looked at by scientists, that they will be able to develop devices that will not only take still photographs, but be able to communicate back and forth via the light, with audio and video, because they can acknowledge being seen. So we'll be able to talk to them, and I don't have the technology to hear them or talk to them, although some unexplained sounds have came through on one video, but they could be, like you said, multidimensional. They could be in another universe. They could be in another galaxy. They could be on the other side of the universe, but we can still communicate with them in real time using this technology, which is all quantum communicational.
Yes, I mean, they could be from another dimension, And so, yeah, and it sounds like there's ways to use light, as you've mentioned, to tap into any one of these or all of these. This is why this is such an exciting experience
Well,
and discovery.
the scientists are just now working on quantum computers. They have quantum satellites now. So everything in the future will rely on quantum information. And if I have accessed information and data inside light, and I've acknowledged another civilization using this technology, that means our current technology that is being developed with the quantum computers and stuff is going to interfere with these other civilizations. So there's a good possibility that they're already interacting with whoever is behind this technology.
Quite possibly. Yes.
Does
Go ahead, PK.
Prism would have any reaction to what you're doing?
It is creating a prism of light. It's creating a spectrum. That's what the water is used
Right.
for. Now, I've never used a prism. I've only used the water in the bottle and projected it. I've tried other materials such as glass, and I could not get the same consistency. So I've stuck with the bottle, but it's similar to the prism. But now I'm looking at a wider spectrum, and the images that appear, they seem to manipulate the spectrum. And one of the reptiles that appeared to be brown with a gold reflective eye, and brown is not even in the light spectrum. So it's actually a mystery of how the color brown can appear.
Interesting.
My goodness. Yes, it's
Very
so fascinating.
interesting.
Now, here's a question from the chat room for you also, Will. This is from Starlight. Wants to know, how long do you believe these aliens have been making contact with us on Earth?
Since the beginning of time. I'm certain, because I've been doing a lot of research, there's a good possibility that the reptiles evolved before the mammals, and then they left, and then they might have manipulated the mammals, so we evolved, but they're still watching back over us. But they've been interacting since the beginning of time. Everything that gets interpreted, when people interpret, you look back at ancient texts where they interpret these things visiting and unexplained lights appearing in the sky. You know, everything comes down to interpretation and how people interpret it.
Yes, and as we discussed previously off the air, there's a lot of people who believe that the reptilian race is against the human race and dangerous to the human race. So what are your thoughts on that?
I do not believe that the reptilians are a danger or a threat. I believe that all advanced civilizations in the universe are peaceful. There are some, I'm sure, there is good, there is evil, but majority of advanced civilizations are peaceful, because you can't get to be an advanced civilization without having some type of peace or some type of control. So as far as I know, until we officially communicate and talk with them back and forth, you know, like on Star Trek, I say that we hold our judgment until we're learning their language and learning how to communicate with them directly, and I believe it's all positive at this time.
That's encouraging, because we've heard from a number of people who feel the reptilians are out to get us.
Well,
so it's nice to hear that might not be the case.
One of the photographs I compared next to a underwater turtle. As the turtle, I was at the lake walking, and the turtle popped his head out, so I took a picture of him. And when I got home, I'm like, wait a minute, this looks familiar. And I looked back at my photograph, and they both had their heads posing in the same direction. So I put them side by side and compared the reptile I captured in the light next to the reptile I captured at the lake, poking his head out the water. And it was a splitting resemblance. They looked exactly like each other, and everybody likes turtles. Turtles are cute.
And they're not out to get us. So
No, they're very
yeah,
sweet,
that's
Gentile
very
creatures.
encouraging. Yes, that's very, very encouraging.
Crazy.
Now, for you, Will, what's your goal with this? What do you want to achieve with this next stage in your experiment?
The next stage is starting soon. I'm remodeling my house at this time. As soon as I finish the remodel job, I'm going to be continuing the experiment back. And as new research comes in, my goal as of now is to communicate the original results. And remember, my results were spread out from 2 years. So all of my detailed images on my page, they didn't all come in 1 month. In the beginning, I captured 4 images, and then it was like 3 months later, then the next images came in, and then a month later, in October, they reappeared, and they continued to appear and reappear throughout the 2 years of my experiment. My goal right now is to communicate the original results, get the experiment back going, tell others how to do the experiment so others can contribute to the experiment, and then we make a global effort of trying to understand this knowledge and light.
Well, that sounds like a great goal. Yes.
Quite a
Now,
project.
but let's again go through the items that people need to do this at home. So they need a water bottle, and they need one that has a concave base, right?
Well, the water bottle just has to have large, round edges on the bottom of the bottle.
So
large, round edges.
Round edges. And it doesn't matter what kind of water. It could be a spring, distilled, doesn't matter, as long as it's clear.
Correct. I just use regular tap water.
Okay. And the next thing that people need to get is a piece of black metal, curved
Steel.
or
Yes, it has to be curved.
It has to be steel.
Pitched in just a little bit, a little curvature on the metal. It also has to be not shiny, but more like a matte finish, not a gloss, but just painted black. And what happens with light, when light impacts metal, it changes to particle form. So particle form is like data, and that's where the information lies.
So I think you need to put a kit together so people can buy that.
This is true, but you could find the metal. You could find the metal at your local hardware store or Home Depot. It's a paint and spackle mixer is what I use, and it works as long as you have the water.
And a paint and spackle mixer, how much do those cost?
Around $6.
Oh, well, that's so affordable. Okay.
Yes.
So paint and spackle mixer.
And
a water bottle.
And a water bottle.
Black.
And it's best to use a webcam and take still photographs with 720p webcam. I was using a Logitech 720p, and then I bought a high definition webcam, and I was unable to get, and I ran the same webcam next to the high definition webcam at the same experiments for months and couldn't capture anything on the HD, but I still captured it with the 720. I believe 720p is key to decoding the frequency.
Okay. Now here's another question for you. This is from Catherine Johnson Sulik. Why don't they communicate more with us if we are open to it? Are they ordered not to, or are they not that interested?
That's a great question. I believe they want to communicate with us, but the frequency that they're communicating on is being protected, so we're not allowed to use it. And also, I mean, if I discovered this with basic water bottle and a piece of metal, I'm certain there's no way possible that scientists overlooked this. Because every scientist has analyzed every bit of the solar spectrum, so I'm almost certain that this discovery has already been discovered, but is kept secret because of what was found. But as far as that goes, they do want to communicate with us, and I believe once we communicate with them and have a physical line, that they will make a physical appearance and finally, for the first time, actually land on the White House lawn and greet us.
That would be fun.
But you don't want to come over for dinner unless you call to make sure dinner's going to be prepared.
That's right. And I want a nice dinner too.
I'll be that way. I was thinking about the 720p. The 720 is a 9, which is completion of things, and the P represents the number 7, which is teaching and learning. So I just found that a little interesting. That's the one that works.
Okay. Yeah, that is so interesting. Now, when you get these images, have you ever thought, as you're snapping pictures, to just try to extend a greeting? I mean, to say, hello, I'm here, anything like that? Have you tried that?
Yes, in the beginning, I'm glad you brought that up. It reminded me. In the beginning, I was trying to find out who they were. So in my mind, I would just focus and try to ask questions. And occasionally they would answer me. And one time, I was like, show me an object, show me something. And they showed me a pyramid, a floating pyramid. And then another time, they showed me Galileo's spyglass, a telescope. And on the left side, there was a being of light, riding. It looked alien. And he was riding on a beam of light. He had little arms, little legs, and he was looking through the rear end of Galileo's old telescope, basically acknowledging, hey, you see us, now we see you.
So they do communicate with you.
Well,
They do.
I asked them in the beginning if they were peaceful. And what they did to make me feel better is they showed me in the light I have on my Facebook page, they showed me a gremlin. Remember the movie Gremlins?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
As a young child, I had that stuffed animal gremlin sitting on my couch. I had the whole family of gremlins, and they sent me a photograph in the light of a gremlin to kind of ease me, I guess, to let me know, hey, we know you, so now you know us.
That
says
startling.
a lot. Mm-hmm.
That's startling. I mean, that they pulled something like that out of your childhood makes me think they've been watching you for a while.
Or they could just know everything that's ever happened in my entire life. They may be able to read my mind.
They very well.
Either way, it's fascinating. Either way.
That's when it became personal. That's when it became personal, when I saw the stuffed animal.
That's cute.
That is, because I was going to ask you, what's your association with gremlins? Because some people were scared to death with that symbolism, but obviously you found it endearing. And so they found that was a symbol to give you, to put you at ease. Wow. That's you're right. That is an intelligent life force. There's no question about that.
In one of the photographs, and this is where I made the connection with religion, one of the photographs, it showed in the middle there was two ancient beings. One was white and bluish, and the other was brown, like a dark brown, but they were very hard to see. But you could tell the one on the right was a male, the one on the left was a female, to me it seemed. But then on the far left of the bald man that we discussed in the beginning of the show, he was facing the two ancient beings, and around his head he had an orange halo going in a perfect circle around his head. And all the photographs that I take are all three-dimensional, so none of them are 2D. So the objects that are forming are three-dimensional. So it's like you're looking at me through the camera, like you can see that the dimensions, and and all the unexplained beings that appear all have symmetry. They show not a perfect symmetry, but they all show symmetry, and that's when you know it's of advanced life, because only advanced life is usually what shows the symmetry.
Interesting. Oh my God. Well, we have so many more questions for you. And everybody who's listening, if you have a question for Will, then please write it in the chat room. We'll ask it on your behalf. And we're just really taken with this entire subject. Finally, somebody has figured out a way to communicate with the ETs and the interdimensionals, and you can do this at home if you so desire. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. So I know this is why people come to listen to our show. Yes, so. We are going to take another very short commercial break. In the meantime, you can go to our Facebook page, take a look at all the great stories we have there on Supernatural Girlz on Facebook, and our website. Also, we've got some cool stuff there, great books. A wonderful treatise from Germany, the Opus Magnum Magus Kabbalisticum, was translated by a professor from Smith College. It was all in old German, never done before. So check it out, and you are listening to Supernatural Girlz Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girlz Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, here with PK, my co-host, and our amazing guest, very special young man, Will Lawrence, who has made a great discovery that we can all use right in our own backyards, if we so desire, and I hope you all do. I'm going to try it.
Well, I am too.
Are you going to try?
Definitely.
Of course. We are going to do this.
I think there's nothing new under the sun, right? We'll find out
Yeah,
something new in the sun.
we are going to look for it. Yes, we will. We're going to report back
Information.
to everybody.
That's
That's
right.
right. So Will, you off the air again, we get chatting away, and we found out a little bit more about your
Mhm.
amazing experience when you were 19. Please tell us the story again. Tell everybody the story because it's a great story, something exciting and unusual that happened to you.
Okay, when I was 19, I was a musician, so I used to I would record my music on a CD, and then I would bring it to the karaoke bars, and I would play my own CDs and sing. I was at one of the bars in my local hometown, San Antonio, Florida, and I met this guy, and he said, "Hey, do you know of any other good bars?" And I knew all the bars at the time because I used to play at a lot of them. So I was like, "Yeah, I know another bar down the road." He's like, "Well, let's go." And this bar is dead. So we get in my car, and at the time as I pulled out of the bar and we go to hit the road, he said, "Just so you know, I'm not who you think I am. I'm not from Earth. I took over this body so I could talk to you and communicate with you. There's things that we need to tell you." And at this time, I'm like, okay, I'm 19. You know, you can tell me what you want to tell me. I'm a little stubborn at that age. And so we're driving. He said, "So just so you know, there's a poem that you wrote." And he said, "With unconditional love, those were the reasons I'd say I loved you." I wrote that about a week prior to meeting this man, and this man is a perfect stranger. There's no way. He recited more of the poem, but I've actually forgot that poem. But so we were driving, and he also, as we were driving, I seen a tree on the side of the road, and he said, "You see that light that hits that tree? You see things differently than other people see them, and you see things that other people can't see, and that's why I'm here." And at this time, I'm still trying to figure out who this man is and why he's saying these things. But the same tree that he pointed out, the night before, I was with my brother, and I pointed out the same tree. I was like, "My brother, you see the light, the way the street light hits that tree? It looks very fascinating, right?" And he said, "Yeah, it does." So this man knew things about me. And we continued our way to the bar. We get to the bar. I'm 19. And I get out of the car. He takes off I had like a flannel shirt. He said, "Take that off." And he did my hair up a little bit. And he pulled out a comb. He pulled out a comb, and the man was bald. He had no hair. And he pulled out a comb out of his back pocket. And he
Mhm.
started combing my hair. He said, "Now you're ready." And we go inside. Before we went in, he's like, "Tonight you're going to be my son. You're 21. It's your birthday. Let's celebrate." And we walk in. He grabs me up. He talks to the lady in the front. We go in, and I was able to drink that night, and he danced all night long. And
Amazing.
at the end, we go to leave the bar. I was going to give him a ride back, and as we were walking out, he stopped me. He grabbed my chest and stopped me and said, "Don't step there." And I looked down, and it was an image of a dragon, and it was like in the paint on the sidewalk. And he said, "Don't step on that." And then we walked around that, and then right after that, he's like, "Look right there." And there was the image of a cross. And he said, "It's all good now." And I just drove him back to a truck stop, local truck stop, and dropped him off. And that's all I remember.
So you never
Something.
saw him again.
Never met him again.
Amazing.
That is a fabulous story. And again, as we were discussing, this is not random. You were selected for this. You were meant to do this. And they've been communicating with you. They know
Mhm.
who you are. And it's this is a very lighthearted encounter you had with this man. Yet, it sounds like there's greater things to come with you and your connection with the other dimensions, whether they be ETs or whether they be interdimensional, because you also had an occurrence when you were a child. Tell us again about that one. I know our audience wants to hear that as well.
Yes.
As a small child, around 7 or 8 years old, I grew up in San Antonio, Florida. We were on a big hill, and what happened was one night I had a dream. I woke up the next morning. I had this phenomenal dream that a ship landed in my backyard, and I went out and greeted these extraterrestrials. And I used to watch. My dad would always watch a lot of the X-Files, so maybe That's why it was on the mind. And so I'm out there talking with them, and then before I left, I made sure all the doors were shut so no one followed me out. So I opened, my cousins were staying there, so I opened their door,
Wow.
I looked in, and I remember closing the door and keeping it shut so no one would follow me. And I went out the back door, communicated with these guys, they left, and that was the dream. The following morning, my cousin's like, "What were you doing outside last night?" And I'm like, "Oh, I had this dream." She's like, "Yeah, you came to my door, you opened it, you looked in, and then you closed it and held it for a while, and I couldn't even, like, I wouldn't let her out." And then she said I walked out the back door and I was walking outside talking to things and then walking in circles, and she didn't wake me up. Eventually I came inside and went back to bed, but she was kind of blown away by the experience.
Yeah. So again, it sounds like you were at that age, that young age, having a UFO close encounter, and they were
Mhm.
communicating with you even then. So it sounds like there's more information for you in that. Have you ever considered going under hypnosis and finding out more about that encounter? Because that's no dream. In my
I have
mind, that is no dream.
I
That
have
really
not at
happened.
I have not at this time, and there's been a lot of other paranormal and unexplained events in my life. The same house I grew up in, the whole entire house, and I grew up in a trailer, and the whole entire trailer would light up white, like a bright white light, and the whole entire inside. And we had the old soft white bulbs, the orangish light
Mhm.
bulbs. So my dad would always joke around and say, "Oh, well, we're living on an Indian burial ground." But there was always a bright light that it happened at nighttime too. The whole entire house would just light up white. It was pretty insane.
Amazing.
Now,
But
do you keep track of your dreams now? Because that is a way that they could continue to communicate with you, and you would have some consciousness about it.
correct, I'm a musician, so I write music, and I believe that's a way of my consciousness communicating with me out loud. So whenever I write, I don't write on paper. I just open up my mind and let the words flow. And I've had some interesting dreams. I don't discuss a lot of my personal stuff. I put it into my music, but a lot of my dreams are in the future. I dreamed I was in this futuristic city, and I was riding this hover bike, like just flying around doing little tricks. And a man, he's like, hey kid, I need you. So I walked up and he was injured. He said, I need out of here. And I was like, all right. So I walked him out, and he had a weapon on him. And he said, it's okay, because we had to go through a checkpoint to get out of this town, a military checkpoint. And he said, it's okay, it's not going to go off on the detectors. And as we were going through the military checkpoint, I walked him out and I get him to the outside, and he's like, all right, I appreciate it. We'll be in touch. And right after that, I woke up and wrote a song called Antimatter.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. So I'm tongue-tied at the moment because there's so many questions I want to ask you, but I think
Mhm.
it might be something you could consider is going under hypnosis to retrieve more information. It just sounds and feels to me as if you have a lot more buried there because of these
Mhm.
encounters. And I remember PK, our wonderful guest who talked about the hybrids, and
Yes.
he's delightful and scared the hell
Mhm.
out of everybody. And
A little.
he,
Yes.
yeah, he was saying, people who think they've been abducted once or twice, it's more like hundreds of times, hundreds. And so it might be interesting for you to consider that option
I
of
have
going to a hypnotist.
I've never thought of that, and at this time I'm really into the research, but I have been learning how to fly in my dreams, and I was able to have one outer body experience just by focusing on climbing a ladder. So I would close my eyes and I would focus on light, and I pretend that I'm climbing up. And as I got higher and higher, next thing you know, I'm flying through the air. I was traveling down a river, and then all of a sudden people grabbed me and put me on the back of a truck in the jungle, and they started driving away saying, "We got him, we got him, we got him." And that's the last thing I remember.
Uh-oh.
That it was
Oh.
positive, but I have been learning how to fly, and also I did wake up in my dream, and I'm learning how to control that. And when I woke up, I'm in this department store. The people around me, there was a police officer, a cash register lady, and two customers. I look at them and I'm like, "What's going on here? I was just over there, and now I'm over here. How did this happen? And where am I? And they were all stunned. It was like I was on the Truman Show. They didn't know how to react. Like, is he supposed to be awake now? Because he's asking us
Right.
questions that he
Yeah.
shouldn't be asking us. So
That's right. Well, that's good,
I
because
think the key
becoming
was-
lucid in your dreams,
Yeah.
it's another expansion of your consciousness, which is, I'm sure, something that they, whoever they are, would like you to continue to do.
and everything is
But
connected.
you sound like an abductee to me.
All,
What
all I
about
do
you,
is
PK? What do you think?
I think so. But the fact is, is he supposed to be here now? The fact that even in the dream you're aware of that it doesn't fit by their standards.
Yes. I mean, this is very, very fascinating.
Mhm.
And we respect your decision to want to keep a lot of things private. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's your life, and you generously shared your experience and your experiment with the world, which is tremendous. But I think there's also a lot more to your story, and hopefully someday you'll write that book.
Ooh, that would
Because
be interesting.
yeah, I think a lot of people would
Very
like to
interesting.
hear and read your personal story of how this came to be. Certainly, this is no accident. Now, off the air again, we were talking, and you were talking about dark matter. Did you want to bring that up for our
Oh,
audience
yes.
tonight?
Do talk about that.
I've done extensive research in all fields of light and physics, and I found out that no one has detected dark matter. They're still trying to detect it under the ground and stuff. And dark matter is a ghost-like particle, so they theorize it to be invisible. And in order to detect ghosts, majority of ghost hunters use digital cameras. So my guess is the reason scientists can't discover dark matter is because they're still thinking that they're going to find something physical when they should be looking for something non-physical. And the same applies to neutrinos. Our sun is like a neutrino factory, and neutrinos are invisible as well. They're just like dark matter. And right now, millions of neutrinos are flying through your body, PK's body, and my body at this very moment. These neutrinos is still a form of information and data, which can, in the non-physical realm, be updated with information. So then you could use neutrinos to communicate if you knew how to upload data into them. But the problem is, how do you detect them? Scientists can't figure it out. Now, these extraterrestrials that I'm communicating with, there's a good possibility that they're using this type of advanced dark matter, neutrino, advanced
no
physics
doubt.
communication.
Mhm.
So everything
Yes.
is embedded in the light. And in ancient times, they've all said, the knowledge is light. In the beginning, there was light, but light is information, and light is knowledge. And now that we can see and read data in that light, the light has a lot to say. And there are people somewhere trying to send us a message saying, hey, we are here. We would like to communicate with you.
Well, we are all
Interesting.
for it. Yeah, we think it's about time. And as we discussed at the beginning of the show, it's really exciting that we can do this ourselves. And again, let's face it, there's no more waiting for the government to tell us about ETs and interdimensionals. Forget it. You can do it yourselves now. So why not? So again, what do we need? We need a water bottle with 1 inch to 2 inches of water on the bottom. And we need what's the thing that, I've got to write this stuff down. It's beyond me.
A black paint and spackle mixer, or just a black piece of steel that's curved. Just something to reflect the light on. You need a black surface, but it can't be curved out. It has to be curved inward.
Inward curve.
So you're talking about a concave situation, right?
Correct. And then the edges of the water bottle is already concave, so you have the light projecting through the water. It's slowing down by entering the plastic, then it slows down by entering the water, and then it's processed, and then the light is projected out the bottom of the bottle, which is a concave lens, which is then projected to the steel, which is also curved along with the bottled water.
I was just at Home Depot today. I could have picked that thing right up and had it here.
See?
Darn it.
And
Cool.
remember,
I'll have to go back.
and remember to take photographs for about an hour. And
yes, that's the key.
My main goal here is to have scientists, people, you and me, anybody, we need to analyze the solar spectrum of our star. Currently, all SETI projects are looking at distant stars in the universe, and they're not finding anything. They're trying to get information, but the information is being sent to us through our star. So all you have to do is tap into our sun, and you can instantly connect to the universe of information and galactic networks just by using our light from our sun. So instead of searching distant stars, we need these SETIs search for extraterrestrial intelligence. We need them to analyze our star a little better than what they already have, and I believe they're starting to do so.
Amazing. Now, here's another question for you. This is from Carol Carl, and she's asking, are you aware of Nikola Tesla's experiences, as he apparently had glimpses into perhaps another dimension? At some point, Tesla felt absolutely that they could see him as well, ordinary street scenes, ordinary folks. So are you familiar with Tesla's work with this?
I've read all of his early journals back in the beginning of this discovery, and what I found is that he found the exact same results, that these signals, sometimes they were strong and they would show up for a week at the time. Other times they were very weak and occasionally, so then they would pop up for like a day. And then there's other signals that he was getting that he believed were extraterrestrial nature, sometimes would only pop up for an hour. Now, all of these signals could be due to the magnetic field portals that connect our atmosphere with the sun's atmosphere. These portals are called X points. NASA knows exactly where all these X points are, but it's not publicly available. When these portals open, they connect our atmosphere with the sun's atmosphere. That, I believe, is the time frame when you're able to communicate using the sun, and you're able to see the detailed images. So it all relates to when the signal is strong. So a magnetic field portal opens up, and that's when Tesla was getting the same unexplained signals.
Now, he believed he was in contact with ETs, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe he thought he was communicating with people on Mars, but he did pick up unexplained signals.
That's amazing. Well, he was certainly a genius that was not well cared for in our
No, not at all.
in our time-space continuum. Poor guy.
He focused on electricity, and what is electricity? Electricity is light.
Light.
So we contained it. So now with this technology that we're discussing, you won't need telephone wires and fiber optic cables. Not only will you be able to send your power through the light, but now you're going to be able to send your internet and all your information all through the power. So you could plug into your outlet and connect to the global internet.
Oh, wow.
Right, but I think that's exactly the issue. I mean, this is why the shadow government doesn't want this technology out there. They want to keep control over it. They want us dependent on
oil resources.
That's right. And so, be careful, Will.
All I can do is continue to promote.
You
what
tell
I know
those
is the
ETs
truth.
they better keep you under their watchful eye. Yeah, because this is what is so exciting. I mean, on the one hand, it's an exciting proposition, and on the other hand, we know people that have tried to bring these things out, and we also know what's happened to them. So it's but on the level of communication, if we keep it there, it is the most exciting thing that I think we've had on the show.
And this is, thank you very much, Patricia.
Definitely.
And thank you, PK, for having me on. I really enjoyed the show, but I wanted to just make a statement that
Go ahead.
that this is the reason I went public. As soon as I made the discovery and I found what I found, I knew the significance of what it was, and I'm not sure exactly what it was. So I went and formed my Facebook page, Bent Light, and since the very beginning, if you go back to the very first post, that was the first day I discovered this. So I basically kept an online journal, interacting with other people from around the world to get their input, and we have collectively all came to the same conclusions, by getting their input and my input and researching. We've been able to put the pieces together much faster than if I would have kept the secret and by myself. It would have took me much longer. So I couldn't.
And this is also, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is also good for your protection, because if we're all doing it together,
That's
This
another
is a
reason.
circle of light that is a protection for you. So again, how can people get a hold of you? Let's say they want to do these experiments. They want to get all of the ingredients. They're going to go out and do this hour-long photo session. How do they get a hold of you?
I'm predominantly on Facebook. That's where I do most of my research. But if you are not on Facebook, you can contact me through YouTube. You could contact me through Instagram, Twitter, and also I have a website. Now, all the accounts are Bent Light, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. You just look for Albert Einstein and Bent Light.
Now, you also have a web page, but it's plural, isn't it? Bent Lights on your web page?
Bentlights.com.
.com is your web page.
That was what was available, and we took it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so everything else is Bent Light. Web page is Bent Lights with an S.
Bentlights.com. And there you can actually message and email me through there as well. And all the first 2 years of photographs are there in detail.
Great.
And also an introductory video. But predominantly I'm on Facebook. I do most of my information on the web, Google, always researching. But a lot of people, I just got contacted. The Day SETI Institute released their information about their new study researching optical signals of extraterrestrials that they believe they might have missed. One of my followers actually sent that to me at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I read the article and I noticed it was the same day. So it's good to have eyes out there, looking out for my research, but also trying to get this information into the right hands so that it's looked at properly. My only goal is to have scientists investigate.
And I agree that it should be in scientists' hands, but I think even more importantly, it needs to be in our hands, so that as a population of people who've been wanting this connection can finally have it. And you've given it to us. You're giving us exactly the tools we need so that we can communicate all on our own in our own backyards. What could be better? Yeah. I'm loving it.
Ask for more. Right?
And this is only the beginning, because remember, this is a prototype for what will be some type of processor or receiver that we're going to be able to build, that we could live stream video just like we're live streaming now. Eventually, once they put in the chips, they're going to be able to process the data from the sunlight. And instead of using a water bottle, which is very caveman, they're going to have processors that process this data, and we're going to have a live feed very soon.
Oh my God, how exciting. Well, we want to hear from our audience members, and we want to hear that if you're going to participate in this experiment and what your results are. So make sure that you contact us, and we got to see what's going to happen here. This is very, very, very cool. Will, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is, again, Will Lawrence with Bent Light, and next week we're coming back. We're coming back with one of the best healers in the world. So be sure to join us next week, and until then, everybody, you take care, and we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.